South Park and Ubisoft have decided to show up at the DLC bus stop with some brand new content from Dusk Til Casa Bonita. And while this is the most SEO unfriendly name ever, this piece of content adds a ton of cool new features and gameplay to an already awesome game to make it even better. Like that new superhero class, for instance. Yes, the Neverborn class. And with that, you can harness the powers of the occult, even taking them back into the main game if you want, which is an immediate bonus for anyone who owns Casa Bonita. The abilities are really cool too, like the Ghastly Grasp, which spawns skeletal arms up from the ground to chain an adjacent attack on a group of vamp kids, or anyone else who's stupid enough to test your might. There's also the Soul Slash attack, which can push enemies back with a devastating swiping scythe, damaging them in the process. And outside of your ultimate, there's also the Dire Shroud, which is a unique attack that can either be used to protect and buff you, or an ally. It can also spawn a hungering demonic Cthulhu-esque essence, which launches a devastating attack on one enemy. And as for the ultimate attack, well, the Grim Fate will summon the Grim Reaper himself, chilling all nearby enemies, rendering them unable to attack and causing serious swiping damage in the process. The class itself is solid and offers some genuinely cool animations as well as attack and defensive combinations to make for a formidable ally and opponent. Henrietta will eventually join your party as well, as she has a common enemy in the Vamp Kids. Likewise, the Goth has a seriously badass moveset, including a cigarette burn which scorches a line of enemies, leaving them to ask if she's actually a Pyromancer class. Henrietta also offers some neat buffs, like a lifesteal to heal her allies and a satanic seal to increase attack and defensive properties. Beyond Casa Bonita, she will also be playable in the base game. And of course, the big thing here is story. Unfortunately, Casa Bonita is quite an entertaining ride. You crash Mike Makowski's birthday at Cartman's favorite restaurant, Casa Bonita. The reason? Mysterian's sister Karen has made friends with the Vamp Kids, and the crew are worried she's going to turn into one of them. But after confronting them, the Vamp Kids whisk Karen away behind a protected door, forcing the group to complete a scavenger quest for vampire relics in order to unlock it. And this is when the DLC really opens up and the creativity starts to shine through. For example, you have to earn enough tickets in an arcade to claim the vampire relic, including playing a Flappy Bird-esque scorer where you're drifting through broken pillars as a unicorn who farts rainbows. Then there's a quirky little gallery shooter called El Chupacabra, which is ridiculous in that most targets are clustered together rather than spread apart. And if you think that sounds great, it genuinely is. There is a lot of fun to be had in Casa Bonita between the quirky puzzle solving, the collectible items, and even some absolutely hilarious lines. For instance, there was one occasion where the Vamp Kids actually ask, "What would Bella Swan do?" There's also a lot of fun new stuff that's been added in, like additional crafting, extra artifacts, new powers, and constantly unexpected events throughout. All that said, in order to play Casa Bonita, you'll need to be the appropriate level or you fail the very early fights in the content. You'll also need to have unlocked certain abilities, otherwise you'll not be able to progress. And that sort of fits in with my one main problem with the DLC. Basically, you'll need to have practically finished Fractured But Whole in order to properly play Casa Bonita, which is absolutely fine as this adds to the endgame content, but a lot of the cool things that are acquired in the DLC likely won't get explored outside of it, unless you're planning to start a new playthrough. Meaning, it's all well and good adding in a new class and additional character, but it's quite possible most people won't spend much time with them once they're done with this DLC. And that's a shame, especially since new lines of dialogue have been added and recorded to make them feel at home. The good news is you can at least unlock the Neverborn class very early on, and you can't really fail the fight as you're constantly revived. So, hypothetically, if you were just starting out on a new playthrough, you could hop on the DLC bus and unlock Neverborn, then get back to the base game. Henrietta, however, is impossible to unlock unless you've beaten a significant portion of Fractured But Whole. True, you're not really likely to play the DLC until you finish the base game anyway, but you're never actually warned in game that you're not the appropriate level, you don't have the necessary abilities, so you kinda need to figure that out for yourself. The price is also on the more premium side for DLC content at $11.99, and with around 2 hours of content, it's up to individual preference whether that's value for money or not. I can say I had as many laughs as I did in the base game, and I really enjoyed the quirky nature of the minigames and the new abilities, but it is possible to whiz through this quite sharpish if your characters are strong enough. As far as DLC goes, From Dusk Til Casa Bonita is up with the best of them in terms of what it offers and what it adds. The new class is a refreshing change of pace, your new ally is great, it will make you laugh till your ribs hurt, and the quirky side quests and minigames are genuinely cool additions. Agreed, it's a premium price for DLC and it can be over quite quickly, but I value the time time I spend with each piece of content, if it manages to change the experience for the better, and whether it kept me entertained throughout. Overwhelmingly, the answer to each of these is yes. South Park: The Fractured But Whole from Dusk Til Casa Bonita is a great example of how DLC can add to a great game, and in some cases, enhance it. To summarize, on the pro side, the Neverborn class is badass and powerful, Henrietta is a great new addition to the game, there are ludicrous, over-the-top fun minigames, and it is as hilarious as ever. On the cons, it's about 2 hours of content and that can seem short, and the ally can't be used outside of the DLC unless you've beaten a significant portion of the Fractured But Whole. But we have settled on giving South Park: The Fractured But Whole from Dusk Til Casa Bonita a 9 out of 10. We tested this on an Xbox One. Thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. If you've played South Park: The Fractured But Whole from Dusk Til Casa Bonita, let us know your thoughts in the comment section below. If you've got any questions you want answered from the latest DLC, we'd be more than happy to help you through. And if you've got anything you want to ask us about the upcoming DLC, we'll do our best to answer that as well. But for now, thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you next time.